Um, all right. It says we are live on the All NBA podcast. Today, we're obviously doing a live stream because, for one, I thought this was a huge game. I wanted to live stream it like we did last year, but also Ray, who's the guy I usually do the live streams with, he is currently not feeling very well. And he was also kind of scared the Warriors were going to lose. And last time we did the podcast, the Warriors lost. He may have gotten suspicious or superstitious, I mean. And he also probably didn't want to be on the pod right after his team, lost the NBA final. So here we are. We're live. I want to make sure the stream is working well, making sure it's healthy. So I need your guys' help. So let me know in the comment section below or the chat or whatever. I'm seeing you guys, Johnny Yee, Cade C, Vish. I'm not even going to attempt that name, my man. Vishal, Vikneshvaran. You're here. Let's get it. Joshua Stubblefield, the Cringe Boys. Everybody's going into the chat. But as soon as I get some confirmations that you guys are hearing me and I can see you guys, you can see me, everything in the stream is working, we're going to dive right into this because there is a lot to talk about. And I really want to talk about the Kevin Durant injury because that's going to be the title of this video. That's what the thumbnail is. Why KD's injury means he's probably going to leave the Warriors. And this is something that I was kind of wish-washy on. So I'm seeing in the chat, Mitchell Long, longtime supporter. I love you, dog. He's saying it's all good. Jose is saying it's looking good, bro. Okay, so let's get straight into it. Or let's get straight into this. Kevin Durant played this game, right? And it was a very interesting storyline because obviously you're getting one of the best players ever, Kevin Durant, right? And there were some interesting storylines going into this game about KD's injury, and not just the injury itself, but how the injury was affecting the team. There was a report. I think Tim Kawakami had the report. Don't quote me on that, but there was a report that some players in the locker room were confused why KD wasn't playing through his injury. They saw Iggy play through an injury, Curry, Boogie, Kevon Looney especially playing through an injury, but KD was just kind of sitting out with that injury. And obviously his injury might have been the most severe. However, it looked like Looney broke something in his collarbone, I believe. The KD injury, obviously a much bigger, impactful player than Looney, and his injury was probably a little bit more serious than the Warriors let on, but he wasn't playing. And I was waiting for the storyline of where I was waiting for the storyline saying, did KD quit on the Warriors? I thought that was very interesting because he's not playing through injuries like these other guys, but I thought it was fine if he sat out. And it seemed like KD was in control of his situation. And I want to touch on that more because that's a very, very important, observation that KD was in control of when he played with this injury. He was in full control. That is very important. I want you guys to hold on to this. But KD comes back tonight, right? KD comes back and the Raptors immediately test KD out. They go right to Siakam in the middle of the paint, and KD, you already saw his impact from right there. Right there, he got a traveling call on Siakam. His length, his size, his defense affected Siakam. If that was green, I think Siakam had a little bit more airspace. He goes up and he puts up a shot. Siakam couldn't even put up a shot with KD, and immediately you're seeing that impact take effect just by that. It's not scoring. It's not even like a block or a steal. It's just solid defense that made Siakam think twice, and sometimes thinking twice gets you into trouble, which it did for Siakam. So immediately you saw that impact. But even more so, KD hit his first three. He hit his second three. I mean, this guy was playing like the KD we've all known. However, he did look like he was preserving energy. It looked like, I don't want to say slow, but just not fully at full speed. He was just kind of going through the motions, but he's so good. He can do that, right? But this guy was awesome. I think I have it in my notes here. You know, Clay, and Steph were all on fire, and they needed that. The Warriors needed to get out to a good start, and their stars to lead them to a good start, because that Raptors crowd has been fantastic all season long, especially in the playoffs, especially in the finals. And if the Warriors didn't get out to a good start, that crowd would have just caved in on them, and it wouldn't look good for the Warriors. So it was really important for the Warriors to get out to a good start so they can kind of put a little bit of doubt, a little bit of plant that seed of doubt into the Raptors' mindset, just so they keep them in check. And that's exactly what they did. I mean, obviously the Raptors had their moments in the first quarter, but for the most part, the Warriors weathered the storm. They didn't let the crowd get into it fully, and Katie was a huge, huge part of that. But obviously, Katie got hurt. I mean, that's the biggest storyline of the game. And I want to talk about why I think Katie's injury is going to make him leave this Golden State Warriors team in free agency. But let's take a look at the chat, because it is a live stream, and I want to get your guys' opinion on it. Yavi says Kyrie's going to the Knicks. Mitchell Long says Kyrie and Katie to the Nets. Now, the Nets did trade Allen Crabbe, which opened up 2 max slots. So, theoretically, the Nets can get KD and Kyrie. However, that means they have to lose D'Angelo Russell. You do that every time. If that's an option, you get KD and Kyrie over D'Angelo. You even take Kyrie over D'Angelo if you just get Kyrie and not KD. You do that every time. But a lot of people in the chat are saying KD and Kyrie to the Nets. We do have Dela Cruz say Kyrie to LA. Y'all, we'll see. Hey, that would be a very, very interesting storyline. But, okay, so let's get back to the KD injury conversation. Now, earlier I talked to you guys about KD was in control of his injuries, and there was a lot of reports going around. There obviously was a report I told you guys about earlier where, you know, the players in the locker room were kind of confused as to why KD wasn't playing through the injury like everybody else on their squad was. But there were also some reports that, you know, or not reports, but people around the NBA, like reporters, were pointing out that the Warriors, especially Kerr, has been very adamant about the guys playing through injuries, like Loonie, like Iggy, like Boogie, and all these other guys, right? They've been very adamant. They've been praising them. And these people were just kind of pointing out, like, how do you think that makes KD feel? Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're KD and you're sitting there and you're seeing your team just praise these guys for playing through an injury, and meanwhile you're sitting out with an injury, does that affect you? I mean, I don't think it'll affect most guys, but KD might not be one of those guys, because we know KD has a little bit of insecurities. I feel silly saying that because he's a confident guy and he's obviously achieved way more than I have, but we have seen him with some insecurities before, with the burner accounts, the talking back on social media, and just all of this stuff. We've seen him have that. I think he's more curious than anything, as he's more curious as to why people are saying these things about him more than he's insecure, but he definitely has some insecurities. And this whole thing about him moving in free agency would lean right into that, right? He's insecure about being on this Warriors team, and everyone's saying it's too easy. He's chasing rings, so maybe he wants to leave and go do something else in New York where it's never been done before. I mean, we've seen these things, these little things of insecurities, in KD's, personality. Now, like I said, KD was in control of this injury, and I think the Warriors slightly pressured KD into playing game 5. Now, I don't have any proof or facts to add this or back this up, but it makes sense, right? They're down 3-1. KD is probably a big reason why they're down 3-1, and maybe KD wanted to come back on his own. But I would believe if the Warriors, said, "Hey, KD, we need you. Can you play?" I don't want to say they begged KD to play, but they put pressure on him to play. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but that pressure was already there from everyone else, the media, the fans, and all of these things. And maybe KD took it into his own hands. I mean, at the end of the day, it was up to KD to play, right? It was up to KD to say, "Okay, I'm coming out." He could have easily said no, and we wouldn't have seen KD play at all this game. He had the final say, but That's important. He had the final say. And this goes back to KD's history with injuries. I thought a big reason why KD left OKC was because that organization, the Oklahoma City Thunder, completely messed up KD's not they didn't mess up his foot, but they mishandled that foot injury situation completely. We all know that he got surgery in his foot and they found out they put in a screw wrong or something like that. And the team doctor had to go back in there and redo it. And usually team doctors don't do surgeries for these players anyways. I mean, there was a lot of these things going around where Oklahoma mishandled the Katy injury situation. He got re-injured. He wasn't ready to come back and yada, yada, yada. That was a huge reason I think KD left OKC because he didn't feel like he was in control of his own destiny. And that's what a lot of these guys these days want. I mean, we see it with the player empowerment era, right? Kyrie, LeBron, Anthony Davis asking for a trade, Kyrie leaving. LeBron he's all about empowerment. And I think the future of the league is player empowerment. I mean, these players want to get away from the word owner. The word owner. They want to get rid of that word. And I get it. I get why they're saying that. However, every team has an owner. And that owner owns that team. And he worked hard to own that team. I mean, it's unfortunate if you want to get into the politics of it. I mean, yes, there's very little minority owners in the league. I mean, it's just simple as that. I think there's one, Michael Jordan, and he was the greatest player to ever do it. So these guys who most of the majority of the league is made up of minorities. It's tough for them to feel like, hey, to be an owner in this league, I have to be the greatest player ever. I mean, I get it. I mean, I don't want to get too much into the politics, but these players want to be in control of their own destiny. And I think KD got some pressure put onto him. He got some pressure put onto him to play this game. And he came back, and obviously, in hindsight, this wasn't the right situation to come back because he re-injured that calf. If you go to my Instagram, I just posted up a slow-mo close-up video of KD's injury, and it looks like something in that right calf, that right leg, explodes. Literally explodes. Go check it out at JAHRONMON on Instagram. His leg explodes. I don't know if it's an Achilles. I don't know if it's a calf thing or what's going on there. I'm not a doctor. All I know is it looked bad, and all I know is KD got hurt. That's what I know, and that's not good. That is not good, especially for KD. Now, he's going to get a max contract. I don't think this is going to affect his free agency at all, but it might affect his career, right? This might shave a couple years off his career. And that's unfortunate. And when you're KD and you're sitting there and you're like, you guys pressured me to come back into this game, and I came back to save y'all, and now look, this is why you don't put pressure on me. I come back when I come back. I come back when I'm ready, when I feel 100%. I mean, we just saw this with Kawhi Leonard, right? We just saw Kawhi sit out an entire year. An entire year because he felt like he wasn't ready to come back. And then he got traded. And then he came back and he told the Raptors, load management, right? And Kawhi just said he wouldn't be playing today if it weren't for load management. And he comes back and he's playing the best basketball of the playoffs. He's the best player in the playoffs, I think. And with that load management and with that taking the year off last season, I mean, it's all connected, right? And I'm just checking up on the stream right now. Make sure if everything's working. If something isn't wrong, let me know in the chat. But I want to shout out Joshua Stubblefield for graduating, or he's about to graduate. Shout out to you, bro. But I want to hear what you guys think about that. Do you think KD's injury, the whole fact that the Warriors probably pressured him, KD got hurt again, do you think all of that stuff means that KD's going to leave? Or do you think he was going to leave anyways? I mean, a lot of people thought that. A lot of people thought KD was going to be gone anyways. And yeah, I'm sure. But I thought he was going to come back, honestly, because I think he'd be crazy to come back. I've talked about this before in the podcast and earlier episodes, which you can download with the link in the description box below. We have it on Apple Podcast apps as well as Google Play, wherever you get your podcasts. the All NBA podcast with JAHRONMON and Ray Izzle. But like, really, I've talked about this. I thought he'd be crazy to leave, man. Crazy. He could be the best player on, and theoretically, the best team to ever play the game of basketball. And that to me is great for the legacy. I think 20 years from now, if he leaves, he'll probably regret it. I mean, most guys do. Shaq regrets leaving Orlando with Penny. Shaq regrets leaving LA with Kobe. I mean, a lot of people regret leaving. I mean, I've talked about this at nauseum. So I don't want to get into the rabbit hole of the KD free agency thing, but I do think it's going to affect his free agency, this injury. And, that's unfortunate. That is unfortunate if you're a Warriors fan. That's unfortunate if you're the Warriors. I'm seeing Nathan Vega saying Achilles ruptured. I don't know if that's official or whatever. He's supposed to get an MRI tomorrow. What I do know is he left the arena. Okay, we're back. Hopefully we're back. I'm going to wait for the chat. RIP to stream. Kevin Durant hacked my stream. He actually hacked my computer, if you want to believe that. He hacked my computer. My computer crashed. I've been having with the problems with my computer. I built my own computer. I'm having problems with it. It's unfortunate. Hopefully, it doesn't crash again. But if you let me know if the chat's back. I'm gonna ask the chat. Are we back? Okay, we're gonna give this one more go. One more go, okay, guys? I apologize for the stream. Or technology has not been on my side as of late, but let me know if you guys are seeing anything. It's back. Okay, we're gonna give this one another shot. I mean, I'm having a lot of fun doing this. We had a lot of guys up here in the stream, and a lot of people in the stream, but man, my Windows computer is just, my computer, I built it to do 4K editing, so it should be able to handle this stream. But I once again, I apologize, guys, but I'm having a lot of fun doing this. My heart's taking a little bit of a tumble because we were on a roll there, and the computer just kept messing up. So hopefully this works. But we're back, and I guess we should pick up where we left off, which was, I want to hear from you guys about do you think this injury, for the reasons that I laid out, is going to affect KD's free agency decision? Because I think it is. I think it is. And shout out to John Landkamer. He's been a long time follower. I appreciate you, bro. But do you guys think that KD's injury is going to affect his free agency? We just saw on ABC, according to Emily Manzana, that it's a ruptured Achilles, which isn't a calf injury, which is what KD was dealing with. But some people thought that the Warriors were covering up an Achilles injury, but it doesn't matter because the leg, everything's connected in the leg. So if you have a sprained ankle, that could affect your knee in the future. It could affect your calf, your Achilles. It's all connected. So I'm not surprised that the injury is apparently a ruptured Achilles when his calf was the one that was bugging out. That doesn't surprise me at all. Eddie Banda says KD wouldn't leave this way. We see KD has hacked my computer. Yeah, I think he did. Maybe he did. I'm trying to see the chat comments about this injury and KD's free agency. KD's in big trouble if it's an Achilles. Emily says, like I talked about earlier, I don't think he's in huge trouble. He's gonna get the same money, but like I said, I think it might shave a couple years off his career in the future, if you know what I mean. But that's kind of all I wanted to say about the KD injury. I think it is gonna affect. I think, man, I see Emily's point. She's saying KD wouldn't leave, or if that was Emily, I forget who said this, but Katy wouldn't leave that way off an injury. And a lot of people thought that if the Warriors lost, that would improve Katy's odds of winning or coming back in free agency. I don't think so. I think he should have came back anyways. I thought they had a good chance of him coming back no matter what the outcome of this finals was. But obviously, if they lose, it's a little bit more palatable, I should say, because it looks like they need him more now, since they lose. But obviously they didn't lose tonight, and we're gonna talk about the game in full detail. But I just want to get those last thoughts on the KD thing. James in the chat says KD should re-sign on a 1 to 2 year deal, but sucks he got injured again. I agree with you, man. I think KD's going to come back on a 1+1. He wants to see the San Francisco thing through. They're moving to a new stadium. I mean, this guy broke ground at that stadium, so I think he's going to want to see that through. And I mean, if I was KD, I would stay. I would stay. Obviously, I live in the Bay Area. I'm not a Lakers fan, though. I got a Bulls hat on. Not a Bulls fan. Love the Bulls. I'm a Laker fan. But if I was KD, I would stay because he has a chance to do something that's never been done. He already did. 5 straight finals, never been done by a team. The Warriors did it. And if he comes back next year, they have a chance to go to 6 straight. They have a chance to go to 7 straight, 8 straight, 9 straight. The sky's the limit if he comes back. And I don't think it's possible for them to bring back KD and Klay unless they do something drastic here. So maybe they could take the Klay money and, redistribute that out to, more role players because they're kind of shallow right now. Their roster, they're a little bit top heavy. Actually, not a little. They're a lot of top heavy or very top heavy. And Miguel says KD walking out on crutches reminded me of Kobe. Well, the Kobe thing came very late in his career. KD's not that late into his career. But I did think him walking out early was interesting because we all saw how KD would greet the guys after the game. He was there in a tunnel greeting the guys, but this time he said no. And the key detail in that is Doris Burke reported that he's going to have an MRI tomorrow. And so that's interesting because if he doesn't have to go to the hospital or get an MRI right now, why isn't he just staying there greeting his team? I think KD's a little bit annoyed here. That's why I think this injury was the tipping point and he's going to leave now. And I was the guy saying he was going to come back. I was the guy saying he should have come back. I think he's going to come back. But now I've totally went the other way because Doris Burke also, right before the third quarter started, was saying there's a lot of emotions right now. Raw emotions was the term she used, which basically means anger, frustration, and swearing and things not safe for television. And I think that KD's really mad about the situation. I think that he felt forced to come back, pressure to come back, even though he had the final say. I think he felt the pressure to come back, and he came back, and it obviously wasn't the right thing to do. He got re-hurt. He re-injured it. No way that injury happens if he comes back fully healthy. I don't think he was fully healthy. He got through the workout, but there were reports about, Jalen Rose said that his workout before Game 4 was bad. And then all of a sudden, he's ready to go in Game 5. That could happen. Theoretically, but the odds say that, he still wasn't close to returning, but he felt pressured. And so he came back. And now he's paying the price for it, Joshua in the chat says, ever since 2016, they lost a lot of depth going after KD. You're right. However, if you look around the league, like Fred VanVleet, undrafted. That guy was available. Pascal Siakam. Was he undrafted or was he, late draft pick? He wasn't highly coveted. Could have had him. There's guys around the league. I think that the mistake that the Warriors made was they tried to surround this team with old veterans, and the lack of athleticism and speed is really jarring. Iggy's lost athleticism. Sean Livingston has lost athleticism. That's a tough sentence for me to say, but they lack athleticism. The most athletic guy is, Alfonso McKinney, who can't be trusted on offense, especially this late into the postseason. So I think the mistake that the Warriors front office made was not surrounding this team with young, athletic guys, which obviously are a lot harder to find than wily vets who have been in the game and feel no pressure. But when you got Steph, Klay, and KD, Draymond, do you really need wily vets? Or should you surround them by young guys who then the veterans can teach how to deal with pressure and play in big games? That's what I would have done. I mean, you need a nice mixture. You need a balance, like all things should be. Shout out to Thanos. As we play the Kawhi laugh. And don't worry, we'll get to Kawhi. But I think they should have had a little bit more athleticism on their squad. And I think that's what they're going to fill their roster out with in the next offseason. So, prophecy boys to that.
Prophecy is true.
Okay, now let's get down to the full game breakdown. And again, guys, feel free to chip in at any time with the chat. I would love to get your opinions. The All NBA podcast is just as much as yours as it is mine. We're in this together. So let me know what you want answered, what you want to share your opinion on in the comment section below or the chat, and I will relay that to the podcast. And remember, you'll be able to download this podcast in audio form with the link in the description box below. If you're doing your chores tomorrow, you got a long commute, doing homework, whatever you're doing, playing basketball, you can download just the audio file and have it on your phone for later use. Link in the description box below. But let's get to the game. Now, I talked a little bit about the beginning of the game and how KD, Clay, and Steph got out to fantastic starts, and then KD got hurt. Now, let's pick up where KD got hurt. Immediately, Demarcus Cousins comes in. Demarcus Boogie. He comes in, and it looked like he wasn't going to play now that they had KD. And that made sense because he was really bad for them in the past 2 games. But that game 2, he was really good. So there was a sliver of hope there. I thought if even KD didn't get hurt, they might throw him in there for 5 to 7 minutes just to see if he could get something done. Because I talked about this in an earlier episode of the All NBA podcast that I think DeMarcus's best ability right now is his passing and his ability to get fouled and kind of slow the game down to a pace that the Warriors are comfortable with. Unfortunately, the Warriors are comfortable with a really fast pace, and Boogie really can't keep up, and he kills them defensively, and he's just lost athleticism. I remember saying in this game, Boogie can't dunk anymore because he had a couple opportunities to, but he just didn't. And then he did dunk, and we will talk about that dunk. Huge moment in the game a little bit later. But Boogie comes in after KD gets down, and immediately, check this out, guys. He scores and then gets fouled. He scores twice, gets fouled, and then he hits a 3. That was huge, especially in this game. Obviously a 1-point game at the end of the day. But for Boogie to come in, be ready, and Mark Jackson talked about this, not having his head down. It didn't look like he was going to play, and the only reason why he's out there is because a guy got injured. He could have easily pouted, but no, he came in, made big buckets, made big plays, and was immediately impactful on the floor. And I think that was awesome to see from DeMarcus Cousins, a guy whose history is, he kind of has a checkered past, right? He came in and immediately made an impact. So huge shout out to Boogie just being ready to play. I mean, that little sequence he had 7 points in like 3 minutes or something like that. It was crazy. It was really fun to watch, and he even hit a 3. I mean, he's been looking awful from beyond the arc this season, especially this postseason. He made some awesome plays right when KD came out, when the Warriors needed a pick-me-up. He was the pick-me-up. How ironic. That was pretty crazy. Joshua Stubblefield in the chat says, if you challenge the Warriors to a shootout, healthy or not, or try to play at their pace, you will get blown out. You're right, John. I want to say this is a shootout, but everything you said was correct, but it might not apply to this game. We got Kirk Appleweight saying, do you think the shoes have anything to do with the injuries? With the Achilles injuries, a soft cushion is the worst thing. Well, Kirk, I don't know the science behind that with the soft cushioning and everything. I mean, Kobe tore his Achilles in the 8s, right? Those had Lunarlon. KD, full-length max zoom, double stacked in the heel. Look, I don't know if those things are connected, soft cushioning and Achilles injuries, but I don't think the shoes had anything to do with it. I mean, we saw him get injured initially. It wasn't an Achilles. At least that's what they're telling us. And then he did get injured with the Achilles. I mean, what are we going to do here? I mean, are we going to connect them or are we not going to connect them? I think this injury that we just saw was connected to his previous injury. The question is if that initial injury was connected to the shoes. I don't think it is. We don't know what causes injuries. They just happen. Maybe one day in the future we'll find out, but right now we don't exactly know what causes injuries. So I don't think the shoes had anything to do with it. But let's get back to the game as I pull up my notes here. Now I said that Boogie came in, immediately made an impact. Now with 3 minutes and 28 seconds left, the crowd was really into it. The crowd really got into it. I think Marcus All just had a huge play. Boogie missed 2 free throws, and the crowd was fully into it with 3 minutes and 28 seconds. And I wrote this down because I thought that the Warriors were going to lose the lead here because the crowd was back into it. The Raptors were back into it, but they kind of weathered the storm here. I mean, they didn't fully weather the storm because the Raptors kind of got back into it. It ended up with a 6-point lead at the end of the half for the Warriors, but they kind of left the door open for the Raptors, but not fully, but they left it just a little bit open. And I thought the Warriors were playing with fire there, and I thought they were playing with fire pretty much the whole game, but their resilience to finish the game out, obviously they won, was incredible. As we move on to the second half, the Loonie injury. The Loonie injury, he got re-injured, and the broadcast said that the Warriors told the media that he can't re-injure it more. He can't hurt it more. It's just a matter of pain tolerance, and you got to shout out to that guy. I mean, we talked about earlier with the KD thing. Guys are playing through injuries, and Looney's one of them, and he's got to be going through a tremendous amount of pain, especially as a big guy getting bodied out there. Marcus All putting his back on his chest, right where the collarbone is. I mean, that's got to hurt. So you got to shout out Loonie, who, by the way, was having a career year, especially in the postseason. He was playing fantastic. It sucks to see him get out, but injuries are a part of the game. So as we look at the chat here, Dawson Dahmer says, Boogie is going to have to play the best ball of the season if the Warriors are going to win the series. The Raptors have everything to lose, and they aren't going to make it easy. I agree with you, Dawson. I think, look, I want to get into my predictions for the series a little bit later in the video, but I think, man, it's going to be hard for the Warriors to win this series. I know they won tonight, but it's going to be hard for them to win this series and get that championship. Van Vliet came in the third quarter, and he kept chipping at that lead with some big threes. He had 3 in the third quarter, and he was just, this dude, ever since this dude had a kid, he's been absolutely on fire. So if you're having a slump out there, you're playing ball, you're just not shooting the ball well, go ahead and have yourself a kid because it just makes you a better shooter. I mean, Van Vliet has been absolutely fantastic this postseason, or really the last 2 rounds, actually, not even the whole postseason. The Bucks series and this series, Van Vliet has been awesome. I think the Warriors should have made him drive a little bit more. I mean, he has shown the ability to be kind of crafty around the rim, but he's only like 6'1" or 6'2". He's not that big. He's not incredibly strong. He has a low center of gravity. He's kind of like a stockier guy, but he's made tough shots going into the paint this playoffs. I mean, don't get me wrong, but if you're the Warriors, you live with that, right? Especially on the road. You don't want him hitting threes in your face, getting the crowd pumped up. You don't want any of that. So I thought the Warriors should have done a better job. I mean, one of those threes, Steph just went under the screen. And if you're Steph, you take that every time, right? If someone goes under the screen on Steph, that's a good shot. I don't care how close the screen is. That's a good shot. Van Vliet, not as good of a shot, but it's still a good shot. I think Steph should have went around that screen, gone over, made him drive. Make him make tough contested shots. I don't know if I hope Steve Kerr put that in the plan and the players just weren't executing it. But you have to think that this team has been around for a while and they can execute things easily or their coach's game plan. So I don't know what's going on there. Maybe it's in the game plan, maybe it's not. But that's what I would have done if I was guarding Van Vliet. Make him drive. Make him prove to me, because the Warriors are still long. I mean, they don't have a ton of rim protection, but Van Vliet isn't the most athletic or crafty or biggest guy on the floor. I mean, make that dude drive. You know what I'm saying? going into the fourth quarter, it was 84-78, which is crazy, man. I mean, the Warriors, they led most of this game. I mean, that is just incredible that on the road, elimination against a team that's never won the finals, a franchise that's never won the finals, a city that hasn't won a championship since what, 93 or later? Like, I wonder if I type that in. Let's see. When was the last time Toronto won a championship? It might have been the 80s. Let's see here. Nope, 93. I was right. The Blue Jays. And I think no, not the Maple Leafs haven't won. The Canadians won, I think, that year. But the Toronto Blue Jays, yeah, the Montreal Canadiens, 93. That's not Toronto, but it is Canada. Yeah, since 93, the fact that the Warriors led all game long until the very end, which we'll get to, and it makes the end just that much more epic, was very crazy. That just shows you that this Warriors team, you just never underestimate the heart of a champion. Just guys who have been there before. As we go to the chat, Cheddar Gaming says, I really thought the Raps were going to win if they were able to hold on to the lead and get stops. Here's the thing, though. I thought they got stops. I thought the end of the game really came down to who's going to make shots, and the Warriors made more. I didn't think it was going to come down to defense. It was who's going to close this game out. This game felt like a Game 7. It really did, especially as the game went on. It felt more and more like a Game 7 as the game went on. And at the end of the third quarter, the fourth quarter, it felt like a full-blown, ugly Game 7 that was going to come down to who is going to make a shot, who can score, and who can keep scoring. And it looked like it was going to be Kawhi and the Raptors, but at the very end, the Splash Bros swooped in for the save. But before we get to the very end there, I want to shout out, Kerr put Jordan Bell to start the fourth quarter. Mark Jackson said on the broadcast that's not the squad or the lineup he would have out there with his championship on the line, with his season on the line. I'd have to agree with him. Jordan Bell's not the answer. The dude hasn't played all game. You're throwing him in essentially a Game 7 elimination game on the road. I would not have done that. I mean, look, I'm just going to stick to my guns. I stick with my guys. Iggy, Livingston, even though Livingston didn't score in the game, I don't think he scored. If I take a look at the box score, we got Sean Livingston. No points. I still go with him, man. Like, at least he's been there before. Jordan Bell, what has he done? I mean, it's tough. It's tough. But Kerr tried to do something, and when you're a great coach, you got to try to make adjustments. And Kerr tried to make an adjustment there. I can't say it didn't work for him because they won, but that's not what I would have done. And then Kyle Lowry in the fourth quarter, he started to heat up. I mean, he was playing perfectly in the fourth quarter, especially in the beginning of the fourth quarter. He obviously missed the last shot badly. Kawhi probably did that. Kyle Lowry went up for the corner three. He bricked it, and Kawhi was like, sorry, Kyle, but that was just a bad shot. But earlier in the fourth quarter, he was playing perfectly. I mean, exploiting mismatches, especially on Boogie. Call for the screen, Boogie switches. He exploits it, drives by him, pulls up, just absolutely toying with Demarcus Cousins, who's didn't have great defense on guards in the first place. His foot speed just isn't there. But also, he's hurt, and he's not in shape. So he totally exploited that mismatch. It was pretty fun to watch. And he didn't even have to score. He was making the right plays. He was passing. I think it led to a Serge Ibaka dunk or an and-one, something like that. But Kyle Lowry was just playing absolutely perfect basketball in the beginning of the fourth quarter, the first half of the fourth quarter. And the Raptors, as a team, were owning the boards, especially late in that fourth quarter, but really the entire fourth quarter. As I look at the rebounding totals, 37 rebounds for the Warriors. And then the Raptors, 43. It felt like a lot more than that. That's only, obviously a 6, board discrepancy, but it felt a lot more. And when you get big rebounds, they feel like 10 rebounds. You know what I mean? And I felt like the Raptors got a lot of big rebounds. And as I see in the chat, Atlanta fan 21 was saying Curry literally handed the ball off to Kawhi at one point. I saw that. I thought that was weird too. The Warriors, let me see how many turnovers they had. Double digits at least. 15 turnovers to the Raptors 13. Yeah, those turnovers by the Warriors were funny. And it was interesting. It looked like there were a lot of little micro moments in the fourth quarter where it looked like the Warriors were just kind of giving up, just kind of like, this is how our dynasty is going to end. That was really, really interesting, I thought, because it didn't look like they were 100% there. It looked like they were kind of shell shocked with the Katy injury, but obviously they came back and they kind of snapped out of it. Cheddar Gaming says, no, it's shocking how careless Lowry is with the ball. How many turnovers did he get? Because it wasn't very obvious to me that he was turning the ball over a ton. 2 turnovers. I mean, Kawhi had 5 of them, how many did Curry have? 4. Clay had 1. Yeah, I don't know, Cheddar. You're saying that he's careless with the ball, but I don't think the Kyle Lowry turnovers were really much to talk about in this game. I think the Kyle Lowry brick was something to talk about. I thought that was interesting. But let's get back to the end part of the game. And I guess we could start it with the Demarcus Cousins goaltend. Now, this was something David Stern, they said it on the broadcast, David Stern was pushing to get this international rule into the NBA where if there is no goaltending if the ball hits the rim. An offensive player could just put it in. The defense can't, but the offensive player, if the ball's on the rim, just put it in. Bam, slam. I think this rule should be instilled. It's fun to watch when you watch international ball. However, with that being said, I thought DeMarcus Cousins did not goaltend that ball. I think one angle made it look like it was a goaltend. I thought it was a bad angle, but the other 2 angles that they were showing on TV, it looked like the ball was going to come off the rim. You have to ask yourself when you're watching that play, if DeMarcus doesn't touch that ball, does it hit the rim again? I don't think so. That's why I don't think it's goaltending. I thought it was off the rim. I wanted to know where the top-down shot was. Maybe the ball was too high and you couldn't see it on that top-down shot with the camera on the backboard, on top of the backboard. But I thought that wasn't a goaltend. John Landcamer on the chat says, yo, that was not a goaltend. It was clearly outside of the cylinder. I agree with you, John. I agree with you. I did not think that was a goaltend. And obviously that looked like a huge call. And then Steve Javie, listen, Steve Javie, balling. Steve Javie is balling. He was not used this game until the very, very end. And I bet he's getting paid bank out there in Secaucus, New Jersey. Shout out to my guy, Jay Gilfin. Shout out to Lauren. Where you at, Lauren? There are people who work with the NBA that I know that are in Secaucus. But yeah, Steve Javie just balling, just comes in at the last second and for the biggest play of the game. He's getting paid bank, man. If I was him, I would get paid like per views because he only comes in late at the game. How many people at that moment are watching? Pay me that amount. Because he's only getting paid. He's only getting used at the very end of the game when everyone's watching. But anyway, Steve Javie comes on and he says, if the call isn't definitive, you can't reverse it. And obviously the call on the floor was a goaltend. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the refs could review the play if the ball didn't go in, right? Because the play would have just kept going, right? So the ball has to go in. If the ball I meant to say if the ball goes in and they don't call a goaltend and the Raptors say, hey, we want you to review that, they can't go and review it because the ball is technically still live. I mean, they have to inbound it. I guess they could call a timeout and get the refs to review it, but I don't think the refs, you'd have to do that. The refs can't just stop the game and review it if they didn't call it a goaltend. They almost had to call it a goaltend so that they could then review it. Is that, am I thinking about that the right way? I think that's how it works. And obviously Steve Javie said if it's not definitive, they can't reverse it. And the word definitive, 100%, absolutely, without, you have to know you're reversing the call. It's got to be obvious. Was it absolutely obvious? I thought it was like 95% obvious. I thought there was a 5% chance it was a goaltend. But if I was a ref, I would have called that. I might have called it on the floor. Bang, bang, play. I might have blown the whistle, call it a goaltend. But if I go to review it, I'm not calling it a goaltend. It looked clearly like a good play to me in slow motion. But that happens, and then the Raptors. Hold up. Let's rewind a little bit because I need to shout out my guy, Moreno Valley, Kawhi Leonard. I love that drop, guys. I'm going to keep playing. I also have this one for the Raptors.
Give me some Raptor news.
Kawhi Leonard. Now, on an earlier episode of the All-NBA podcast, I call Kawhi Leonard the new Kobe. He's the new Kobe, man. He's the new Kobe. His play is very similar to Kobe. Those mid-range shots, the footwork, even the dribbling reminds me a lot of Kobe. It looks like if a robot was trying to replicate Kobe and it just looked a little bit more stiff, like I'm Kawhi Leonard, I'm a robot, I don't have emotion, but I'm really good at this thing called basketball. That's what it reminds me of. He's the new Kobe. He's like a less attractive version of Kobe. Like Kobe's game was just so flamboyant and stylish, but Kawhi's game is just textbook to the point, but it's in the Kobe vein. He's a new Kobe. And I also said in an earlier episode that I thought Kawhi Leonard reached the pinnacle of basketball, the number one skill to have in basketball, which there's greatness, and then right above greatness is this level that only a certain amount of players have got to with this skill. Jordan was the master of it. I think Magic and Bird had it. Kobe had a little bit of it, but I think Kawhi is even better at it. What Kawhi does is he knows when to impose his will. We saw this with Jordan. He just kind of let his teammates get involved, and then at the perfect time, Jordan swooped in and dominated the game, and Kawhi has that skill. We saw it in this game. This dude scored 10 straight points for the Raptors late in the fourth. And I'll tell you what, that last possession, I 100 million % thought Kawhi Leonard was going to make that shot. I thought, but the Warriors doubled, they built the wall, they packed the paint, and they made someone else try to hit that shot. And that Kyle Lowry shot was a good shot. It was good. He was open in the corner, the shortest three you can get on the floor, on an NBA floor. Unfortunately, he didn't make it, but that was a good shot. And I want to talk more about that shot because I have a lot to say about that shot, but it was a good shot. But I swear, I thought, and look, I'll be honest, I was slightly rooting for the Warriors. I live out here in the Bay. My first NBA game ever was a Warrior game. I've been able to go to a ton of Warrior games over the past couple years. The most I've ever been to was this season. My girlfriend is a huge Warriors fan. It's hard not to root for the Warriors. They're a great team, but I'm also rooting for the Raptors. I thought it would have been great if they won tonight. First ever championship in Toronto. The Kawhi Leonard capping off one of the best playoff runs in NBA history that we've ever seen. Kawhi Leonard, the three-peat stopper. How could you not love that? But yes, I was slightly rooting for the Warriors, and as someone who was slightly rooting for the Warriors, I thought 100% Kawhi was going to make that shot. I just thought it was going to happen. This dude earned that respect. I thought he was going to make it. I thought he was going to make the Philadelphia 76ers shot. I have that on my Instagram. I yelled Kobe, and then it bounced, and then it bounced, and then it bounced, and then it went in. Kobe. But Kawhi has mastered. He's just at that level. He knows when to take over. He does just enough throughout the game, and then when it's time to take over, Kawhi takes over. The claw. I should have that as a drop. The little toys, the alien toys in Toy Story. The claw. That would be a great drop. But one more time for the boys, Moreno Valley. Man, Kawhi is so good. Kawhi is so good. Man. And Cheddar Gaming in the chat reminds me he's banged up. You're right, Cheddar. He is banged up, which makes it even more amazing. I mean, he might, what I'm talking about, where he just does just enough, and then at the end of the games he takes over. That might just be his injury, But I want to believe that he's doing that on purpose, even if he was healthy. But it might just be his injury. He can't sustain that level of play the entire game, and he's relying on his teammates. And I tell you what, his teammates got his back, especially Serge Ibaka, especially Pascal Siakam. Gasol has been playing great. Van Vliet has been playing great. Danny Green kind of letting us down, but he did have that one game. He did have that one game on the road. That was a great game for him. They won that game, obviously. That was huge. Cheddar also asked, Jaren, you think they should have called a timeout in the last possession? No, I don't. I thought they got a good shot. Like I said, the Kyle Lowry shot was good. Now, let's talk about – okay, hold on. Before we get to the Kyle Lowry shot, guys, let's talk about the Splash Bros. The Splash Bros. Do I have a drop for the Splash Bros? I don't think I do. The closest one would probably be...
A freeze is coming.
Because of water? A freeze is coming? I don't know. What's this one?
$100 billion.
Is how much you should pay Klay Thompson and Steph Curry for hitting those shots. I mean, those shots that those guys made, first it was Curry. The Curry shot wasn't even a good shot. It wasn't even a good shot. That was a tough shot that only Steph Curry should take, and arguably Steph Curry can make. But that was a big shot. You want to talk about Steph not being clutch, which I think is one of the most ridiculous things anyone has ever said. I think people don't understand what clutch is. I think we have all these stats that have clutch stats. I think those stats are wrong. I mean, think about it this way, guys. Think about this. What is clutch? Just hitting the last shots in the game, or hitting your shots in the last 2 minutes of a game, the last 3 minutes of an elimination game? I mean, what's clutch? To me, hitting a shot in the last 2 minutes of an elimination game is just as clutch as hitting shots in the first 2 minutes of an elimination game to set the tone. Do you know what I'm saying here? Like, if I'm like Steph Curry was clutch tonight in the first quarter. He came out and he did his job. He quieted that crowd a little bit. He put their emotions in check. Elimination game, season on the line. Legacy on the line. He came out and he blew up in the first quarter. KD as well, and Klay. I think all the Warriors not named KD, Klay, and Steph hit 3 points in that first quarter. Is that clutch? To me, that's clutch. That's clutch to me. It's not just about what happens at the end of the game, throughout the game. How about the Raptors going on a huge run and then someone from the Warriors hits a big shot to kind of calm down the run, like Klay did all game long? That's clutch to me. Those won't show up in the clutch stats. I want to see more of those stats. Klay Thompson's field goal percentage while the other team is on a 10-0 run. How about those stats? That's clutch to me. Look, it's hard to hit the last shot in a game. Of course, Kobe's clutch stats aren't going to look good because he's always the one taking the shot at the end of the game, and it's always the toughest shot. Think about it. What's the toughest shot you take in the entire game? The last shot. The last shot. They let fouls go left and right. Guys are double, triple teaming you. I mean, it's a tough shot. Of course the numbers aren't going to be great. Of course. Kawhi's clutch, and he didn't even take a shot at the end of the game. But he's clutch. Now, is Kyle Lowry clutch? Shout out to Klay Thompson first. That three. Whew, wide open. Hit it. That's clutch. But that could have been a clutch shot in the third quarter, second quarter, first quarter. But boy, glad it came in the fourth. Splash Bros saved their season with back-to-back threes.
A freeze is coming.
A freeze is coming. Everybody chill. Klay Thompson, unbelievable. Steph, unbelievable. Without their best player, without their finals MVP come in the clutch. Now, John is saying Kyle is anything but clutch. Let's talk about that. Kyle Lowry obviously had the last shot of the game. Corner three. I thought he played great. Let's check up his stat line. 8 for 16. 18 points. 6 assists, 4 rebounds. I mean, the numbers aren't going to, jump off the page for you. But I thought he was great. Thought he was great for them. 1 for 6 from three-point land. 1 for 6. Now, look, I thought it was poetic that Kyle Lowry took that last shot. That Kyle Lowry could have won the NBA championship for Toronto. The guy who's been there, not since the beginning, but he's been there, man. Not Kawhi, not a guy who might leave this offseason. No, Kyle Lowry, a guy who people say wasn't clutch, who stunk in the playoffs. This guy who's failed in the playoffs, not just last year, but the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that. I thought it was poetic that he took that last shot. And here's the thing. It was a good shot. That was a good shot. And he bricked it. He bricked it, man. I mean, who was flying out on him? I don't even remember. Because I remember watching the game. Obviously, my girlfriend's a huge Warrior fan. She's rooting for them. I remember he missed it, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, whoa. It took me a second to realize that the Warriors won. And there's a ton of people in the chat right now saying that Kyle's not clutch, he's not clutch, all this stuff. Joshua says he has poor decision-making in late-game situation when the Raptors are against the wall. Does he, though? Because I thought the beginning and the middle of the fourth quarter, Kyle was playing great, like I talked about earlier, and then he kind of handed the reins over to Kawhi, and Kawhi carried them, and then before you know it, he's taking the last shot. I thought Draymond was the one on the last shot, so maybe he got phased out by Draymond, and if Draymond doesn't run out there like a lunatic towards him in the corner, maybe he does at least hit rim. Draymond's got the longest arms in the league, I think, right? I mean, it makes sense to me, but, you're saying that Dre blocked it? Okay, Dre blocked it. Even better. If Dre didn't block it, would Kyle have made it? I mean, we're never going to know. Everyone's saying that Draymond blocked it. We didn't get a replay after the game, and I jumped on the stream after the game, so I apologize. But if you guys are saying Draymond blocked it, hey, Draymond Green, right? What effort. Man, Kyle Lowry, I thought it was poetic that Kyle Lowry was going to take that last shot.
Give me some Raptor news.
And there's your Raptor news. Kyle Lowry shoulda, coulda, woulda hit that last shot. Maybe he would have if Draymond didn't block it. But there you guys go. That was an amazing Game 5. And I want to talk about the future of this series. Man, what an amazing. I love NBA Finals basketball. I love it. It's my favorite thing in the world. Second favorite thing is being on a chat with you guys. Now, let me guys know in the chat who you have winning this series as I formulate my thoughts on who I think is going to win this series. Do you think the Warriors can pull this off? Here's what I think. It seemed like this game, if I had to bet my dog's life on it, I thought they were going to lose. I thought the Warriors were going to lose as the game went on. I thought they were going to win before the game started. After the first quarter, before Katy got injured, I thought they were going to win. After Katy got hurt and as the game went on, I thought they were going to lose the game. It just felt like what they were doing wasn't sustainable. Do you know what I mean? It felt like the Raptors were going to catch up with them because the Warriors did lead the entire game until the fourth quarter, until Kawhi went on that crazy 10-0 run. And Kawhi took that game back, and the Warriors did get caught up with. The Raptors caught up to them. Yet, you never underestimate the heart of a champion, and the Warriors walked out tonight with the win. But the question is, can they do it in Game 6? And if they do, can they do it in Game 7? I mean, let's just say they win Game 6 in Oracle. They owe the Bay one. They lost both games at home. Last game at Oracle. I want to swear so bad right now, but I hope people in the NBA are listening, so I won't. But the last game in Oracle, the last one in that beloved building, and Steph loves Oracle. He's actually kind of sad they're going to SF. Every colorway of the Curry 6 this year is inspired by Oakland. The last colorway, the Thank You Oakland colorway, which, by the way, is awesome. He's made it a point to thank Oakland. He loves Oakland. He was drafted by Oakland. Last game at Oracle. They probably get it done, right? And we're looking at a Game 7. Can the Warriors pull off a 3-1 upset after being upset up 3-1? What a storyline that will be. Can they do it? Here's the thing about Game 7. Game 7s are ugly. And Game 7s really come down to hustle, defense, and mismatches. And guess what? The Raptors check all those boxes. The Warriors don't. Hustle and defense, Raptors all day. Raptors, best defensive team in the playoff. Raptors, hustle guys, Siakam. I always say Draymond Green, but I really mean Danny Green. Uh, I mean, and the mismatch thing, you immediately saw Katie's impact when he hit the floor tonight, right? The length bothered Siakam. He got a couple of rebounds that the Warriors normally wouldn't get, and you could see it hurt them. Even in this game, they couldn't grab rebounds, but if Katie was out there, they would have got those rebounds because his length and athleticism. Now, it doesn't even have to be Katie getting the rebound. It's just the way the mismatches add up when Katie's on the floor. You have better rebounding. The Warriors got out-rebounded tonight. They've been getting out-rebounded all series long and all season long, quite frankly, or postseason. Game 7 comes down to the hustle plays and defense, and the Raptors just have the advantage. They have the advantage in those two categories, and when it comes to mismatches, the Warriors cannot get great shots against this Raptors team because they don't have mismatches. I mean, they don't. Siakam is a problem for them. Kawhi's a problem for them. They don't have any post presence other than Boogie, and you can't keep Boogie out there because of defense. As I look in the chat, Sam says Raps. Red Aqua says Raptors in 7. Cheddar says Raptors in 6. It's over. Next game. John says emotion of the last game at Oracle might carry them in game 6, but they will get past in game 7. Cheddar Gaming says the 6 and 6. You guys, I don't think the Warriors have enough. I'm with you. I don't think they get it in 6, though. I think 7. I think that last game at Oracle. Are the Warriors really going to go this entire finals without winning one game at home? I mean, it just seems ridiculous to me. I just think, man, what I would do for another game 7 after a sweep last year. I think Raptors in 7. I just think it's not sustainable. I think the Warriors are going to give a valiant effort. I think the Warriors are going to play their heart out. I think we're going to leave this series saying, you know what? That is one of the greatest teams ever. One of the best to do it. Heart of a champion. They just didn't have enough. The injuries caught up to them. They just didn't have enough. They were too top-heavy because they had 4 All-Stars. It was just the Raptors were too much. And look, I've seen this Raptors team in person. I went to a game in Oracle when the Raptors didn't have Kawhi, and they still beat a fully healthy sans Demarcus Cousins. This was before Demarcus came back. But everyone on the Warriors was healthy. The Raptors didn't have Kawhi. They still won. I think the Raptors are a great team. I picked them to be in the NBA Finals. I didn't pick them to win the NBA Finals. I think in my video, my predictions video, the playoff bracket challenge, I had the Warriors winning in 7, which, looking back, why did I pick that? Game 7 in Toronto? I guess I just thought different circumstances. I thought Katie was going to be healthy. So I had them winning in 7 with Katie healthy, and now Katie's not healthy. Clay's probably still banged up. It doesn't look like it's affecting him, but Loonie, Iggy, Demarcus, I mean, they're not healthy, and health is part of the game. The best ability is reliability. I don't think the Warriors have enough, but like I said, I think we're going to leave this series saying, you know what? That was awesome to watch. Shout out to the Warriors. They played their heart out. They just couldn't get it done. That's what I think we're going to leave this series thinking. So, man, what a series. Let me know any questions you have as we wrap this stream up, this podcast up. Let me know what you guys think about this series going forward. Earlier, we talked about, Katie's injury and what that means for his free agency. And then Katie hacked my stream, my computer, and he shut it down. But I'm glad it stayed up for the rest of the podcast. So, again, I apologize for that. But I want to thank everyone who joined the stream, joined the chat. Hopefully, we could do more of these as the series goes on. We don't have the ability yet to go live with Ray on the podcast as well, at least not yet. I'm working on that. Next season is going to be a huge season for the All NBA podcast. We're going to do live streaming. We're going to have an Instagram, a Twitter. We're going to have a lot of stuff for you guys. I'm going full send next season on the All NBA podcast. But if you've been following the podcast with us this season, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's something that I've always wanted to do, and we're doing it. But hopefully, if you guys want this more, let me know in the comment section below and support this video by liking it. And if you guys show me that you want more of these live streams where it's one-on-one, me and the chat, let me know in the comments. Like this video. I will be more than happy to. I'm only going to do things you guys want me to. So let me know, support it as I take a look in the chat, and we'll wrap this stream up. Dawson Dahmer is asking me who will be the finals MVP from either team. If the Raptors win, it's Kawhi. If the Warriors win, it's Curry. I think it's that simple. It's that simple. What are the options? I think the Raptors thing is pretty wrapped up. It can't be anyone other than Kawhi. For the Warriors, some people probably be like, it's actually Klay Thompson. But no, it's Steph Curry. He's the guy. As we go to the chat, Atlanta Fan 21 says he has a feeling Raptors will win in 6, but I think the last game in Oracle might be enough for Golden State to pull the W. I agree with you, man, right there. Cheddar Gaming says Kawhi, unanimous finals MVP. Win or lose? No. You got to give the finals MVP to a guy on the winning team. You just have to. That's just rules, man. It's like peanut butter and jelly. They just go together. That's just a rule. It's a rule. Those go together. The sun comes up in the east and it sets in the west. That's just how it works. You give the finals MVP to a guy on the winning team. It's ludicrous. How could you be the most valuable player if you don't even win? Josh was asking, can we get a KD 12 review? I'm planning on my next video being the Curry 6 versus KD 12. Stay tuned for that. Red Aqua was asking, will KD end up like Kobe? I touched on this a little bit. I don't think KD's injury came earlier in the career than Kobe. And no, so I don't think so. I think the Kobe thing was the beginning of the end for him. KD still had some prime years left in him. KD was probably in his post-prime when he got that injury. Noah's saying, last year's offseason, you were holding a live stream talking about free agency. You said that the chat that the Warriors could pull off signing Boogie or DeAndre Jordan, and you called me crazy, so here I am. Noah, I apologize to you, but come on, man. What do you got? Some inside information? Come on. Nobody thought that the Warriors were going to get those guys. You were crazy at the time. But obviously looking back, you got lucky, or you have some inside information. Let me know what it is. If you got that inside information, hit me up. I could use some inside information. John Landcamer says, that's ridiculous. Curry's still scoring 30-plus in the series. I think he scored 30 in every game except that one game. That one last game, he didn't score 30. Atlanta Fan 21 says, you think Kawhi's going to leave for Golden State if they blow a 3-1 lead too? I think Kawhi, I don't know. There's rumors that he bought property in Toronto. There's rumors that he's going to join the Clippers no matter what. I don't know. If I had to bet my dog's life on it, I think Kawhi stays. Wouldn't you? They've showed the ability to build a championship team and let him be in control of his destiny. Like we talked about earlier with KD. Kawhi was in control of his destiny. He said, look, guys, load management. You guys need to do this for me. They did it for him. Now look at what's happening. It's all working out for him. Dawson, I just answered. Will Kawhi stick around with Toronto, win or lose? I think he should stay. Win or lose. I think he should stay. That's what I think. So that wraps up this episode of the All NBA podcast. This was a live stream. I want to shout out everyone who joined the stream. And again, I want to apologize for the stream difficulties. I will get that sorted out so we could do this on a more daily basis. Again, if you enjoyed this video, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more NBA and sneaker-related content just like this. My name's Jaron. It's great having you. I love every single one of you that was in the chat. Stay tuned for the next episode and be sure to subscribe to the All NBA podcast right here on YouTube on my channel, as well as the Apple Podcast app, as well as Google Play. Just type in All NBA podcast or use the link in the description box below. You can download the audio only files so you can have the All NBA podcast in your pocket on the go for whatever you're doing. Once again, guys, my name's Jaron. It's great having you. Catch you guys in the next one. I'm going to end the stream now. See ya.